chill out, okay? Alright, so don't start doing all that hollering and screaming. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. My laptop to get booted up here. Get YouTube online. Everybody enjoy this Saturday? Tulane, Lavine, Katrina, Betwabu, blessings. Hey, girls, hey. Get YouTube up here for they think I've forsaken them this morning. Come on. Okay. Nope. Okay. Got my grandbaby over here, and they up early. Had to get them straight. I apologize for my 6-minute tardiness.
Scan has completed. Warning, issues have been detected that need your immediate attention. Click on Clean Now to fix these issues.
She said, wow. Hold on, y'all. Okay. We are live, people. Okay. All right. Joy risings, peaceful greetings. Okay, y'all. All right. Okay, YouTube is up. All right, so let's do this really quick. I'm doing my intro. How am I trying to bring this up? I just got one. I got the oldest one, Trina. She said you got 2 or 3 of your grandbabies. Just the oldest one, James. Yes, baby. You feel?
No, it's fall.
It's fall?
Yeah.
What fall?
The trees.
The trees?
Yeah.
What trees?
Huh?
What trees?
The garden out there.
The garden out there? I'm gonna have to check that when I'm done. I didn't hear a loud noise. Okay, I'm gonna have to double check it. Thank you for letting me know. He said the trees fell. I sure hope not. Okay, bring up the shimmer. Okay. YouTube, sorry for my few-minute tardiness as I was explaining to Facebook here. I'm bringing it back up over here. Okay, so we're good to go. All right. Baby and the grandbaby straight. Yeah, just Jace. You know, him and Bella both 4. It was born about a month apart. A baby and a grandbaby born about the same time, right? Elijah trying to catch up with us. Okay, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is Sunday, March the 7th, 2021, day 95 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count is day 764. Remember that it's about the Sabbath days or the feast day Sabbath days added in. And today we're reading Joshua 16, 17, and 18. So let's go ahead and start with the Shema. Aliyah, peace and blessings, my brother. Peace and blessings. Start with the Shema here, then we're going to go ahead and get started. There we go. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And you shall write them, I went back up. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as he has commanded us. All right, y'all. Let's hop right on over here to Joshua 16. And there we go. It is the land given to Ephraim and West Manasseh. Justice. The allotment for the descendants of Joseph extended from the Jordan River near Jericho, east of the springs of Jericho, through the wilderness and into the hill country of Bethel. From Bethel, that is Luz, it ran over to Ataroth in the territory of the Archites. Then it descended westward to the territory of the Japhletites as far as lower Beth Horon, then to Gezer and over to the Mediterranean Sea. This was the homeland allocated to the families of Joseph's sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. The following territory was given to the clans of the tribe of Ephraim. The boundary of their homeland began at Ataroth Adar in the east. From there it ran to upper Beth Horon, then on to the Mediterranean Sea. From Mithaf on the north, the boundary curved eastward past Taanath Shiloh to the east of Janoah. From Janoah it turned southward to Ataroth and Nara, touched Jericho, and ended at the Jordan River. From Tappuah, the boundary extended westward following the Cana Ravine to the Mediterranean Sea. This is the homeland allocated to the clans of the tribe of Ephraim. In addition, some towns with their surrounding villages and the territory allocated to the half-tribe of Manasseh were set aside for the tribe of Ephraim. They did not drive out the Canaanites out of Gezer, however, so the people of Gezer lived as slaves among the people of Ephraim this day. Shalom, Josiah. All right, Joshua chapter 17. The next allotment of land was given to the half-tribe of Manasseh, the descendants of Joseph's older son. Machir, the firstborn son of Manasseh, was the father of Gilead, and Bashan on the east side of the Jordan had already been given to them. So the allotment on the west side of the Jordan was for the remaining families within the clans of the tribe of Manasseh: Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. These clans represent the male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph. However, Zelophehad had a descendant of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons. He had only daughters, whose names were Mahlah, Noah, Haglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. These women came to Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the Israelite leaders and said, Yahuwah commanded Moses to give us a grant of land along with the men of our tribe. So Joshua gave them a grant of land along with their uncles, as Yahuwah had commanded. As a result, Manasseh's total allocation came to 10 parcels of land in addition to the land of Gilead and Bashan across the Jordan River, because the female descendants of Manasseh received a grant of land along with the male descendants. The land of Gilead was given to the rest of the male descendants of Manasseh. The boundary of the tribe of Manasseh extended from the border of Asher to Mikmethath near Shechem. Then the boundary went south from Mikmethath to the settlement near the spring of Tappuah. The land surrounding Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but the town of Tappuah itself, on the border of Manasseh's territory, belonged to the tribe of Ephraim. From the spring of Tappuah, the boundary of Manasseh followed the Kenar Ravine to the Mediterranean Sea. Several towns of the south Ravine were inside of Manasseh's territory, but they actually belonged to the tribe of Ephraim. In general, however, the land south of the Ravine belonged to Ephraim, and the land north of the Ravine belonged to Manasseh. Manasseh's boundary ran along the northern side of the Ravine and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. North of Manasseh was the territory of Asher, and to the east was the territory of Issachar. The following towns within the territory of Issachar and Asher, however, were given to Manasseh: Bethshan, Iblim, Dor, that is, Naphoth Dor, Endor, Tanakh, and Megiddo, each with their surrounding settlements. But the descendants of Manasseh were unable to occupy these towns because the Canaanites were determined to stay in that region. However, when the Israelites became strong enough, they forced the Canaanites to work as slaves, but they did not drive them out of the land. The descendants of Joseph came to Joshua and asked, "Why have you given us only one portion of land as our homeland when Yahuwah has blessed us with so many people?" Joshua replied, "If there are so many of you, and the hill country of Ephraim is not large enough, clear out the land for yourselves in the forest where the Perizzites and the Rephites live." The descendants of Joseph responded, "It's true that the hill country is not large enough for us, but the Canaanites and the lowlands have iron chariots, both those in Bethshan and its surrounding settlements and those in the valley of Jezreel. They are too strong for us." Then Joshua said to the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, the descendants of Joseph, "Since you are so large and strong, you will be given more than one portion. The forests of the hill country will be yours as well. Clear as much as the land as you wish, and take possession of its farthest corners, and you will drive out the Canaanites from the valleys too, even though they are strong and have iron chariots." All right, y'all. Last chapter for today, Joshua chapter 18. The allotments of the remaining land. Now that the land was under Israelite control, the entire community of Israel gathered at Shiloh and set up the tabernacle. But there remained 7 tribes who had not yet been allotted their grants of land. Then Joshua asked them, "How long are you going to wait before taking possession of the remaining land Yahuwah, the God of your ancestors, has given to you? Select 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out to explore the land and to map it out. They will then return to me with a written report of their proposed divisions of their new homeland. Let them divide the land into 7 sections, excluding Judah's territory in the south and Joseph's territory in the north. And when you record the 7 divisions of the land and bring them to me, I will cast sacred lots in the presence of Yahuwah, our God, to assign land to each tribe. The Levites, however, will not receive any allotment of land. Their role as priests of Yahuwah is their allotment, and the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh won't receive any more homeland, for they have already received their grant of land, which Moses, the servant of Yahuwah, gave them on the east side of the Jordan River. As the men started on their way to map out the land, Joshua commanded them, "Go and explore the land and write a description of it. Then return to me, and I will assign the land to the tribes by casting sacred lots here in the presence of Yahuwah at Shiloh." The men did as they were told and mapped out the entire territory into 7 sections, listing the towns in each section. They made a written record and then returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. And there at Shiloh, Joshua cast sacred lots in the presence of Yahuwah to determine which tribe should have each section. The first allotment of land went to the clans of the tribe of Benjamin. It lay between the territory assigned to the tribes of Judah and Joseph. The northern boundary of Benjamin's land began at the Jordan River, went north of the slope of Jericho, then west through the hill country and the wilderness of Beth-aven. From there, the boundary went south to Luz, that is Bethel, and proceeded down to Ataroth Adar on the hill that lies south of Lower Beth-horon. The boundary then made a turn and swung south along the western edge of the hill facing Beth-horon, ending at the village of Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, a town belonging to the tribe of Judah. This was the western boundary. The southern boundary began at the outskirts of Kiriath Jearim. From the western point, it ran to the springs at the waters of Nephtor and down to the base of the mountain beside the valley of Ben Hinnom at the northern end of the valley of Rephaim. From there, it went down to the valley of Hinnom, crossing south of the slope where the Jebusites lived, and continued down to En-Rogel. From En-Rogel, the boundary proceeded in a northerly direction and came to En-Shemesh and on to Gileath, which is across from the slopes of Adumim. Then it went down to the stone of Boan. Boan was Reuben's son. From there it passed along the north side of the slope, overlooking the Jordan Valley. The border then went into the valley, ran past the north slope of Beth Hogla, and ended at the north bay of the Dead Sea, which is the southern end of the Jordan River. This was the southern boundary. The eastern boundary was the Jordan River. These were the boundaries of the homeland allocated to the clans of the tribe of Benjamin. These were the towns given to the clans of the tribe of Benjamin: Jericho, Beth Hogla, Emek Keziz, Beth Araba, Zemarim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Kephar Ammoni, Ophni, and Geba, 12 towns with their surrounding villages. Also Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kepharah, Mozah, Rechem, Erpil, Tarla, Zelah, Haleph, and the Jebusite town that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath Jearim, 14 towns with their surrounding villages. This was the homeland allocated to the clans of the tribes of Benjamin. All right, beautiful people. That is our reading today from the Bible. Let's hop on over here to the Legends of the Jews. Good. That's a good question, Alia.
Cookie, what's that smell?
What smell?
Yes.
What it smell like?
It says turkey.
Oh, Jace eating those boiled eggs. Shayla, great rising. Let's see. Right. I was just sitting here thinking about it because I understand a lot more than what I just read here. And some stuff I don't say here because I don't think everybody's ready for it. I don't think a lot of people is ready for the truth that's right in front of their faces. Okay. Well, let me think about this while we read. Okay, y'all. Let's hop over to the Legends of the Jews. And we are in volume 3, chapter 6. We're picking up where we left off at yesterday on page 372. And the section is entitled, Yahuwah tries to comfort Moses concerning his death. So remember, from yesterday, they're going back and forth about Moses not wanting to die, right? Moses really trying to get into the promised land. Okay, so we'll pick this back up. Hold on, let's see. Yep, okay. All right. That Moses might not take his approaching end too much to heart, Yahuwah tried to comfort him by pointing out to him that in his lifetime he had received such distinctions from his Creator as no man before him, and still greater distinctions awaited him in the future world. Yahuwah said, Dost not thou remember the great honor I showed thee? Thou didst say to me, Arise, and I arose. Thou didst say, Turn about, and I turned about. For thy sake too did I invert the order of heaven and earth. And the order of heaven, it is to send down dew and rain, and earth's order is to produce bread. But thou didst say to me, I do not wish it so, but be it heaven to send down bread, and the earth to bring forth water. And I acted in accordance to thy wish. I caused bread to rain from heaven, and the well sprung up. Thou didst say, If Yahuwah make a new thing, and the ground open her mouth and swallow them up, then ye shall understand that Yahuwah hath sent me, and I fulfilled thy wish, and it swallowed them. I had also spoken, he that sacrificed unto any god, save unto Yahuwah only, shall be utterly destroyed. But when Israel sinned with the golden calf, and I meant to deal with them according to my words, thou would not let me, saying, Pardon, I pray thee, the iniquity of this people, and I forgave them as thou did ask me. More than this, the Torah is named after me. It is a Torah of Yahuwah, but I named it after thy name, saying, It is the Torah of my servant Moses. The children of Israel are also named after me. For unto me the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants. But thou called them after thy name. I distinguish thee still more. For just as there is neither food nor drink for me, so also did thou stay in heaven for 40 days and 40 nights, and in all that time didst neither eat bread nor drink water. I am God, and see, I have made thee a God to Pharaoh. I have prophets, and thou hast a prophet. For I have said to thee, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Again, no being may see me, and to thee did I make it so that the people were afraid to come nigh to thee. And as I said to thee, thou shalt see my back, but my face shall not be seen. So too did the people see the back of thee. I glorified the Torah with 22 letters, and with all these letters did I glorify thee. I sent thee to Pharaoh, and thou didst lead Israel out of Egypt. Through thee did I bestow the Sabbath upon Israel, and the law of circumcision. I gave thee 10 commandments. I covered thee with a cloud. I gave thee the 2 tablets of stone, which thou did break. I made thee unique in the world. I gave thee the Torah as thine inheritance, and honored thee more than all the 70 elders. Moses had to acknowledge that extraordinary marks of honor had been his. He said, Lord of the world, thou didst set me on high, and did bestow upon me so many benefits that I cannot enumerate one of 1,000. And all the world knows how thou did exalt me and honor me, and all the world knows as well that thou art the one God, the only one in the world, and that there is none beside thee, and that there is nothing like thee. Thou did create those above and those below. Thou art the beginning and the end. Who can enumerate thy deeds of glory? Do one of these, I beseech thee, that I may pass over the Jordan. Yahuwah said, Let it suffice. Speak no more unto me of this matter. It is better for thee to die here than that thou should cross the Jordan and die in the land of Israel. There is a tomb fashioned by men on a bier made by men, and by the hands of men, whom thou would be buried. But now shalt thou be buried in a tomb fashioned by Yahuwah, and on a bier made by Yahuwah, and shalt be buried by the hands of Yahuwah. O my son Moses, much honor had been stored up for thee in the future world, for thou wilt take part in all the delights of paradise, where are prepared 310 worlds, which I have created for every pious man that through love of me devoted himself to the Torah. And as in this world I appointed thee over the 60 myriads of Israel, so in the future world shall I appoint thee over 55 myriads of pious men. Thy days, O Moses, will pass when thou art dead, but thy light will not fade, for thou wilt never have need of the light of sun, or moon, or stars, nor wilt thou require raiment or shelter, or oil for thy head, or shoes for thy feet, for my majesty will shine before thee. My radiance will make thy face beam. My sweetness will delight thy palate. The carriages of my equipage shall serve as vehicles for thee. And one of my many scepters, upon which is engraved the ineffable name, one that I have employed in the creation of the world, shall I give to thee, the image of which I have already given thee in this world. The intercession for Moses. Look, Trina said, listen, ma'am, I'm ready for it. I've been ready ever since y'all revealed the lie about JC to me. So when you do tell it, give me the raw and uncut. Pray for me. I want Pray for me. I be wanting to choke folks because they so blind. Oh, Trina, I feel you. Okay, look. I'm thinking about this, right? Because I don't know if I should. I keep looking at this stuff. I don't know if I should answer this live or if I should just take my time and type it out and post it here and you come back and read it. I think that's what I might do. But I will answer a portion of it. I will answer. I'm looking at something that you said. Because I think of so many different references that I know about that kind of... Let me keep reading for today. Okay. The intercession for Moses. When Moses saw that Yahuwah lent no ears to his prayers, he sought to invoke Yahuwah's mercy through the pleading of others. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. So long as the course of Moses' days had not yet been run, everything was in his power. But when his time was over, he sought for someone to appeal to Yahuwah's mercy for him. He now betook himself to earth and said, O earth, I pray thee, implore Yahuwah's mercy for me. Perhaps for thy sake will he take pity upon me and let me enter into the land of Israel. Earth, however, replied, I am without form and void, and then too I shall, son, wax old like a garment. How then should I venture to appear before the King of Kings? Nay, thy fate is like mine, for dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. Moses hastened to sun and moon and implored them to intercede for him with Yahuwah, but they replied, before we pray to Yahuwah for thee, we must pray for ourselves, for the moon shall be confounded and the sun ashamed. Then Moses took his request to the stars and the planets, but these too replied, before we venture to plead for thee, we must plead for ourselves, for all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved. Moses then went to the hills and the mountains, beseeching them, pray, appeal to Yahuwah's mercy for me. And they too replied, we too have to implore Yahuwah's mercy for ourselves, for he said, the mountains shall depart and the hills shall be removed. Then he laid his plea before Mount Sinai, but the latter said, didst thou not see with thine eyes and record in the Torah that Mount Sinai was altogether in smoke, because Yahuwah descended upon it in fire? How then shall I approach Yahuwah? He then went to the rivers and sought their intercession before Yahuwah, but they replied, Yahuwah made a way in the sea and a path in the mighty waters. We cannot save ourselves out of his hand, and how then should we aid thee? Notice how what I get from it, and I'm understanding so much. Everything in creation is alive, right? Although it seems to us to be insignificant, just like the grass and the trees, but everything is alive. And remember, everything sings a song, right? Okay. All right. If you guys understood that a lot more as we go throughout our days, I think your outlook on life and how you relate in life altogether would be different. And I think it brings tremendous power and faith to your prayers, to know some of the things you could pray for and receive, because you simply understand creation just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Then he went to the deserts and to all the elements of nature, but in vain they sought to secure their aid. Their answer was, all go unto one place, all are of the dust, and turn to dust again. The great sea was the last to which he brought his request, but it replied, Son of Amram, what ails thee today? Art thou not the son of Amram that erstwhile came to me with a staff, beat me, and clove me into 12 parts, while I was powerless against thee, because the Shekinah accompanied thee at thy right hand? What has happened then that thou comest before me now pleading? Upon being reminded of the miracles that he had accomplished in his youth, Moses burst into tears and said, Oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when Yahuwah preserved me. And turning to the sea, he made answer, in those days when I stood beside thee, I was king of the world, and I commanded, but I am a suppliant whose prayers are unanswered. When Moses perceived the heaven and earth, sun and moon, stars and planets, mountains and rivers, turned a deaf ear unto his prayers, he tried to implore mankind to intercede for him before Yahuwah. Remember, Yahuwah told the angels to go close all the gates so that none of Moses' prayers come up, and so they wouldn't even be tempted to go answer any of his prayers, right? He closed all the gates, right? Ooh, I want to get into gates so bad. And do you realize that there are gates inside of us? Ooh, look, all the gates were unlocked and open inside of Enoch. Boy, ooh, I wish, but we just gotta read this here. Oh, I wish I could tell y'all about this, but okay, maybe in the coming readings. So look, when Moses perceived the heaven and earth, sun and moon, stars and planets, mountains and rivers, turned a deaf ear to his prayers. He tried to implore mankind to intercede for him before Yahuwah. He went first to his disciple Joshua, saying, O my son, be mindful of the love with which I entreated thee by day and by night, teaching thee Mishnah and Halakha and all arts and sciences, and implore now for my sake Yahuwah's mercy. For perhaps through thee he may take pity upon me and permit me to enter the land of Israel. Joshua began to weep bitterly and beat his palms in sorrow. But when he wanted to begin to pray, Samael appeared and stopped his mouth, saying, Why dost thou speak to oppose the command of Yahuwah, who is the rock, whose work is perfect, and all whose ways are judgment? Joshua then went to Moses and said, Master, Samael would not let me pray. At these words, Moses burst into loud sobs, and Joshua too wept bitterly. Man, they're going through something, ain't they? Moses like, I don't want to go. Moses then went to his brother's sons, Eleazar, to whom he said, O my son, be mindful of the days when Yahuwah was angry with thy father on the account of making the golden calf, and I saved him through prayer. Pray now thou to Yahuwah for me, and perhaps Yahuwah will take pity upon me, and let me enter into the land of Israel. But when Eleazar, in accordance with Moses' words, began to pray, Samael appeared and stopped his mouth, saying to him, How canst thou think of disregarding Yahuwah's command? Then Eleazar reported to Moses that he could not pray for him. He now tried to invoke Caleb's aid, but him too Samael prevented from praying to Yahuwah. Moses then went to the 70 elders and to the other leaders of the people. He even implored every single man among Israel to pray for him, saying, Remember the wrath which Yahuwah nursed against your fathers, but I brought it to pass that Yahuwah relinquished his plans to destroy Israel and forgave Israel their sins. Now I pray ye, betake yourselves to the sanctuary of Yahuwah and exhort his pity for me, that he may permit me to enter into the land of Israel. For Yahuwah never rejects the prayer of the multitude. But when the people and their leaders heard these words of Moses, they broke out into mournful weeping, and in the tabernacle with bitter tears they entreated Yahuwah to answer Moses' prayer, so that their cries rose even to the throne of glory. But then 184 myriads of angels, under the leadership of the great angels Zekun and Lahash, descended and snatched away the words of the suppliants, that they might not reach Yahuwah. Oh, bruh. The angel Lahash indeed tried to restore to their place the words which the other angels had snatched away, so that they might reach Yahuwah. But when Samael learned of this, he fettered Lahash with chains of fire and brought him before Yahuwah, where he received 60 blows of fire and was expelled from the inner chamber of Yahuwah, because, contrary to Yahuwah's wish, he had attempted to aid Moses in the fulfillment of his desires. It's like, what do you do? It's like we've received this command from Yahuwah to aid this man because they are the inheritors of everything he has created and we are subject to them. But now he has told us we've grown fond of Moses. Like, we love this dude down here. Like, now you tell us not to do this. And Moses was crying. Some of the angels were crying. They're like, look, I'm going to see if I can, maybe Yahuwah might change his mind. I'm going to sneak some of these prayers, try and get him past. He running interference, snatching up the prayers like a football. And he heading, and here comes Samael. Nope. Tackle you. I'm about to knock your head off your shoulders. And then we're going to take you before Yahuwah because you disobeyed his command. Bruh, hold on. Look. The angel Lahash indeed tried to restore to their place the words which the other angels had snatched away, so that he might reach Yahuwah. But when Samael learned of this, he fettered Lahash with chains of fire and brought him before Yahuwah, where he received 60 blows of fire and was expelled from the inner chamber of Yahuwah, because, contrary to Yahuwah's wish, he had attempted to aid Moses in the fulfillment of his desire. When Israel now saw how the angels dealt with their prayers, they went to Moses and said, the angels will not let us pray for thee. When Moses saw that neither the world nor mankind could aid him, he betook himself to the angel of the face. Who is the angel of the face? Somebody. All this time. Respond here. We're all learning together. Shayla. If y'all forgot who the angel of the face was, it's Enoch. Enoch. You said Micaiah. No, it's not Michael. It's Enoch. Remember? Enoch is the angel of the face. Metatron. When Moses saw that neither the world nor mankind could aid him, he betook himself to the angel of the face. Let me tell y'all something before I finish reading this. And this has something kind of to do with what you said. Okay, so when we got thrown, I'll just say we got thrown, when we got dispersed for the last time into captivity, there is a lot of things that we have forgotten on purpose. Yahuwah willed it to be so, right? Like y'all always hear me saying, I'm sure y'all have heard it, the spiritual world or the unseen realm is more real than the realm that we see, right? Everything that happens in this realm is a direct result of what happens in the unseen realm. One of the gifts that Israel had was the ability to operate in both realms, right? We had access to the angels, like we can literally command them. There were a lot of things that the angels helped Israel do, and the people were aware of this, and they were using these things, right? Not just, when we get to King Solomon, you're going to see, not only did they have command over, let's just say, the good angels, but also the bad ones too. And this has a little bit kind of to do with, but because we'll see that King Solomon, he also commanded demons, right? And this information has been forgotten. Well, it hasn't been forgotten by the world who uses it against us, right? But for us that are just now waking up, it's like, what is happening? And y'all gonna, as we wake up more and realize what we're really in here, you're gonna realize some of these things, and y'all gonna start experiencing more supernatural things and seeing some things happen, right? Because if you understand this, you'll realize, if you know who you are and the power that you truly have, you also can begin to command the angels, both good and evil, to not use it against people. I ain't saying go out here and be a vagabond and doing stuff against people, but not that, but you can literally cause change to happen around you. Your family will be protected. Things that you have need of, you can literally command the unseen realm, because that's the power Yahuwah has given to his people. It is Israel, right? The sons and daughters of God, right? Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there for the moment. When Moses saw that neither the world nor mankind could aid him, he betook himself to the angel of the face, to whom he said, pray for me, that Yahuwah may take pity upon me, and that I may not die. But the angel replied, why, Moses, dost thou exert thyself in vain? standing behind the curtain that is drawn before Yahuwah, I heard that thy prayer in this instance is not to be answered. Moses now laid his hand upon his head and wept bitterly, saying, To whom shall I go now that he might implore Yahuwah's mercy from me? Yahuwah was now very angry with Moses because he would not resign himself to the doom that had been sealed. But his wrath vanished as soon as Moses spoke the words, Lord, the God full of compassion and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin. Yahuwah now said kindly to Moses, I have registered 2 vows, one that thou art to die, the second that Israel is to perish. I cannot cancel both vows. If therefore thou choosest to live, Israel must be ruined. Lord of the world, Moses replied, thou art reproachest me artfully. Thou seizest the rope at both ends, so that I myself must now say, rather shall Moses than 1,000 of his kind perish. Yes, baby. Wait a minute, Paul. Then a single, hold on. Thou seizest the rope at both ends, so that I myself must now say, rather shall Moses and 1,000 of his kind perish than a single soul out of Israel. But will not all men exclaim, alas, the feet that trod the heavens, the face that beheld the face of Shekinah, the face that beheld the face of the Shekinah, and the hands that received the Torah shall not be covered with dust. Yahuwah replied, nay. The people will say, if a man like Moses, who ascended into heaven, was a peer of the angels, with whom Yahuwah spoke face to face, and to whom he gave the Torah, if such a man cannot justify himself before Yahuwah, how much less can an ordinary mortal of flesh and blood, who appears before Yahuwah without having done good deeds or studied the Torah, justify himself? I want to know, he added, why thou art so much aggrieved at thy impending death. Moses, I am afraid of the sword of the angel of death. Yahuwah, if this is the reason, then speak no more in this matter, for I will not deliver thee into his hand. Moses, however, would not yield, but furthermore said, shall my mother Jochebed, whom my life brought so much grief, suffer the sorrow after my death also? Yahuwah, so it was in my mind, even before I created the world, and so is the course of the world. Every generation has its learned men. Every generation has its leaders. Every generation has its guides. Up to now, it was thy duty to guide the people, but now the time is right for thy disciple Joshua to relieve thee of thy office destined for him. Moses serves Joshua. Moses now said to himself, if Yahuwah has determined that I may not enter into the land of Israel, and I am thus to lose the reward for the many precepts that may be preserved only in the Holy Land, for no other reason than because the time has come for my disciple Joshua to go in front of Israel and to lead them in the land, then were it better for me to remain alive, to enter the land and relinquish to Joshua the leadership of the people. What now did Moses do? From the first day of Shabbat to the 6th of Adar, the day before his death, he went and served Joshua from morning unto evening as a disciple, his master. These 36 days, during which Moses served his former disciple, corresponded to the equal number of years during which he had been served by Joshua. That way in which Moses ministered to Joshua was as follows. During the period he arose at midnight, went to Joshua's door, opened it with the key. Hey, shush, chill. Hey, no, no, you can't. Yeah, you can get some almond milk. Josiah, pour him some, please. Yeah, pour him some of that. Shalom, mother. Okay, shush, y'all. The way in which Moses ministered to Joshua was as follows. During the period, he arose at midnight, went to Joshua's door, opened it with a key, and taking a shirt from which he shook out the dust, laid it near to Joshua's pillow. He then cleaned Joshua's shoes and placed them beside the bed. Then he took his undergarment, his cloak, his turban, and golden helmet, and his crown of pearls, examined them to see if they were in good condition, cleaned and polished them, arranged them aright, and laid them on a golden chair. He then fetched a pitcher of water and a golden basin. Hey, listen. Okay. He then fetched it. Hey! Chill. Shush. Saya, hurry up, please. Jace and Bella, back up. Let him do that. Thank you. Saya, take control. He then fetched a pitcher of water and a golden basin and placed them before the golden chair. Y'all go in the living room. Go and get out of here. You two, both. Get down. Then hush. Jace. You, boy. Shush. Don't look at me like that. He then fetched a pitcher of... You want to go upstairs? He gonna do it. Chill out. He then fetched a pitcher of water. I'm sorry, y'all. He then fetched a pitcher of water and a golden basin and placed it before the golden chair, so to wash himself. He then caused Joshua's rooms, which he furnished like his own, to be swept and put in order. Then ordered the golden throne to be brought in, which he covered with linen and a woolen cloth, and with other beautiful and costly garments, as in the custom with kings. After all these preparations had been made, he bade the herald proclaim, Moses stands at Joshua's gate and announces that whosoever wishes to hear Yahuwah's word should betake himself to Joshua, for he, according to Yahuwah's word, is the leader of Israel. When the people heard the herald, they trembled and shook and pretended to have a headache so that they might not have to go to Joshua. Every one of them said in tears, Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child. But a voice from heaven resounded, crying, When Israel was a child, then I loved him. And earth too opened her mouth and said, I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken. Look. Oh, that's good. Hold on. Y'all might not have got that like I did. Every one of them said in tears, Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child. But a voice from heaven resounded, crying, When Israel was a child, then I loved him. And earth too opened her mouth and said, I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken. So the earth, ever since the earth's creation, has been here to see everything that has happened. And during the entire course of the earth, from when she was first created, when she was young, up until now in our generation, as she waxes old, she said, I have never seen the righteous forsaken. And earth too opened her mouth and said, I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken. While the people refused to lend ear to the herald's summons, the elders of Israel, the leaders of the troops, the princes of the tribes, and the captains of thousands, of hundreds, and of tens appeared at Joshua's tent, and Moses assigned to each his place according to his rank. In the meantime approached the hour when Joshua was to arise, whereupon Moses entered his room and extended his hand to him. When Joshua saw that Moses served him, he was ashamed to have his master minister to him, and taking the shirt out of Moses' hand and dressing himself, trembled, he cast himself to Moses' feet and said, O my master, be not the cause wherefore I should die before half my time is done, owing to the sovereignty Yahuwah has imposed upon me. But Moses replied, Fear not, my son, thou sinnest not if thou art served by me, with the measure wherewith...
Mom, then Jason will get my chair back.
Boy, give her chair. Sit in Isaiah's chair. We'll go get it. Thank you. But Moses replied, Fear not, my son. Thou sinnest not if thou art served by me. With the measure wherewith thou did mete out to me, do I mete out to thee. As with a pleasant face thou didst serve me, so shall I serve thee. It was I that taught thee, love thy neighbor as thyself, and also let thy pupils' honor be as dear to thee as thine own. Moses did not rest until Joshua seated himself upon the golden chair, and then Moses served Joshua, who still resisted in every needful way. After he was through with all of this, he laid upon Joshua, who still resisted, his rays of majesty, which he had received from his celestial teacher, Zagzagel, scribe of the angels, at the close of his instruction in all the secrets of the Torah. When Joshua was completely dressed and ready to go out, they reported to him and to Moses that all Israel awaited them. Moses thereupon laid his hand upon Joshua to lead him out of the tent, and quite against Joshua's wish, insisted upon giving precedence to him as they stepped forth. When Israel saw Joshua precede Moses, they all trembled, arose, and made room for these two to proceed to the place of the great, where stood the golden throne upon which Moses seated Joshua against his will. All Israel burst into tears when they saw Joshua upon the golden throne, and he said amid tears, Why all this greatness and honor to me? In this way did Moses spend the time from the first day of Shabbat to the 6th of Adar, during which time he expounded the Torah to the 60 myriads of Israel in 70 languages. Okay, we're going to start chapter 7. Moses' last days. The last days of Moses' life. Okay, y'all. We're going to keep going. Whew. Okay. Oh, we might not get to that today. Woo, hold on, y'all. Oh, this gets so good. We definitely ain't going to finish all this today, but I know it's coming. So this, all right. Let me just keep going, y'all. All right. Chapter 7. Moses' last days. On the 7th day of Adar, Moses knew that on this day he should have to die. For a heavenly voice resounded, saying, Take heed to thyself, Moses, O Moses, for thou hast only one more day to live. What did Moses now do? On this day he wrote 13 scrolls of the Torah, 12 for the 12 tribes, and one he put into the holy ark, so that if they wished to falsify the Torah, the one in the ark might remain untouched. Moses thought, If I occupy myself with the Torah, which is the tree of life, this day will draw to a close, and the impending doom will be as naught. Yahuwah, however, beckoned to the sun, which firmly opposed itself to Moses. Hey, chill. Yahuwah, however, beckoned to the sun, which firmly opposed itself to Moses, saying, I will not set so long as Moses lives. When Moses had completed writing the scrolls of the Torah, not even half the day was over. He then bade the tribes to come to him, and from his hand received the scrolls of the Torah, admonishing the men and women separately to obey the Torah and its commands. The most excellent among the 13 scrolls was fetched by Gabriel, who brought it to the highest heavenly court to show the piety of Moses, who had fulfilled all that is written in the Torah. Gabriel passed with it through all the heavens, so that all might witness Moses' piety. It is this scroll of the Torah out of which the souls of the pious read on Monday and Thursday, as well as on the Sabbath and holy days. Moses on this day showed great honor and distinction to his disciple Joshua in the sight of all of Israel. A herald passed before Joshua through all the camp. Come and hear the words of the new prophet that hath risen for us today. All of Israel approached to honor Joshua. Moses then gave the command to fetch hither a golden throne, a crown of pearls, a royal helmet, and a robe of purple. He himself set up the rows of benches for the Sanhedrin, for the heads of the armies and for the priests. Then Moses betook himself to Joshua, dressed him, put the crown on his head, and bade him to be seated upon the golden throne to deliver from it a speech to the people. Hey, y'all go in the living room. Joshua then spoke the following words, which he first whispered to Caleb, who then announced it in a loud voice to the people. He said, "Awaken, rejoice, heavens of heavens, ye above, sound joyously, foundations of the earth, ye below. Awaken and proclaim aloud, ye orders of creation. Awaken and sing, ye mountains everlasting. Exult and shout in joy, ye hills of earth. Awaken and burst into songs of triumph, ye hosts of heaven. Sing and relate, ye tents of Jacob. Sing, ye dwelling place of Israel. Sing and hearken to all the words that come from your king. Incline your hearts to all his words, and gladly take upon yourselves and your souls the commandments of your God. Open your mouth, let your tongue speak, and give honor to Yahuwah, that is your helper. Give thanks to your Lord, and put your trust in him, for he is one, and hath no second. There is none like him among the gods, not one among the angels is like him, and beside him there is none that is your Lord. To his praise there are no bounds, to his fame no limit, no end, to his miracles no fathoming, to his works no number. He kept the oath that he swore to the patriarchs through our teacher Moses. He fulfilled the covenant with them, and the love and the vow he made them. For he delivered us. Chill. For he delivered us through many miracles, led us from bondage to freedom, clove the sea for us, and bestowed upon us 613 commandments. Why are y'all fighting over that sword? Give it to me. Give it here. Give it here. Thank you. I'm going to keep it. You want to give me the shield too? Give me the shield. No, get here. I have it in my possession now. Don't touch it. Go upstairs. Go. Pause 1 second. Oh, yeah. She took off and she saw me getting up. Okay, look. Open your mouth. Let your tongue speak. Hold on, y'all. I was going to chase her. If I won't live, I would have chased her. Open your mouth. Let your tongue speak. And give honor to Yahuwah, that is your helper. Give thanks to your Lord and put your trust in him. For he is one and has no second. There is none like him among the gods. Not one of the angels is like him, and besides him there is none that is your Lord. To his praise there are no bounds. To his fame no limit, no end. To his miracles no fathoming. To his works no number. He kept the oath that he swore to the patriarchs through our teacher Moses. He fulfilled the covenant with them, and the love and the vow he made them. For he delivered us through many miracles, led us from bondage to freedom, clove the sea for us, and bestowed upon us 613 commandments. When Joshua had completed his discourse, a voice resounded from heaven and said to Moses, "Thou hast only 5 hours more of life." Moses called out to Joshua, "Stay seated like a king before the people." Then both began to speak before all of Israel. Moses read out the text, and Joshua expounded. There was no difference of opinion between them, and the words of the two matched like the pearls in a royal crown. I mean, all the way up. Kids, I know, right? Look, Yahuwah just called out from heaven. You got 5 more hours, Moses. How many of us would have sat there and continued to read the Torah? Most of us would be running around here like a chicken with our head cut off, hugging and kissing everybody. Like, you should get that already. You knew a long time ago, you was gonna have to be leaving here soon. You should have handled all that. Moses was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. He, I've been tripping out. Yeah, I know, right? Moses said, he heard the voice. Moses, 5. You got 5 more hours left, son. Moses, continue. Look. There was no difference of opinion between them, and the words of the two matched like pearls in a royal crown. But Moses' countenance shone like the sun, and Joshua's like the moon. 4-year-old Chronicles, I know, right, Talaine? While Joshua and all Israel still sat before Moses, a voice from heaven became audible and said, Moses, thou hast now only 4 hours of life. Now Moses began to implore Yahuwah anew, O Lord of the world, if I must die only for my disciples' sake, consider that I am willing to conduct myself as if I were his people. Let it be as if he were high priest and I a common priest. He is king and I his servant.
Mommy,
Yes.
someone let me play.
Go back in there, Purdy. Yahuwah replied, I have sworn by my great name, which the heaven and the heavens of heavens cannot contain, that thou shalt not cross the Jordan. Moses, Lord of the world, let me at least, by the power of the ineffable name, fly like a bird into the air, or make me as a fish, transform my 2 arms into fins, and my hair to scales, so that like a fish I may leap over the Jordan and see the land of Israel. Yahuwah, if I comply with thy wish, I shall break my vow. Moses, Lord of the world, lead me upon the pinions of the clouds about 3 parasangs high beyond the Jordan, so that the clouds be below me, and I from above may see the land. Yahuwah replied, this too seems like to me the breaking of my vow. He said, Moses, look, that too seem like that's going to cause me to break my vow. Yahuwah replied, this too seems to me like a breaking of my vow. Moses, Lord of the world, cut me up limb by limb, throw me over the Jordan, and then revive me that I may see the land. Moses is getting right desperate, ain't he? Got 4 hours left. Yahuwah, that too would be as if I had broken my vow. Moses, let me skim the land with my glance. Yahuwah, in this point I will comply with thy wish. Thou shalt see the land before thee, but thou shalt not go thither. Yahuwah thereupon showed him all the land of Israel, and although it was a square of 400 parasangs, still Yahuwah imparted such strength to Moses' eyes that he could oversee all the land. What lay in the deep appeared to him above. The hidden was plainly in view. The distant was close at hand, and he saw everything. Moses beholds the future. Who wants to hear that they have a few hours left to live? It was tough for him, man. Look, it's about to get a little bit tougher. Pointing to the land, Yahuwah said, this is the land. Look. Yahuwah already told him he had 4 hours left, right? So he's trying to do all of this. He's like, well, make me like a bird. Help me, fly me up into the air. Just fly me over so I can see it. You know, he was like, no, Moses, no, you can't go in. He said, okay, well, let me be like a bird. Be like a fish. Make my hair, fins, and scales and all this stuff. And let me just like jump over. Let me go. No, Moses, that still seemed like me breaking my vow. I said, you're not going to enter. Okay. All right, cut me up limb from limb. Just like chop me up into pieces and throw me into the land and then revive me. Moses, no, absolutely not, right? So, who would say chop me up into pieces? Chop me up into pieces and throw me over into the land of Israel and revive me? Clearly Moses could say that because Yahuwah said what? I give life and I also revive. I give life and I give, I give death and I give life, right? He said, I can bring death and I can also revive you. So Moses in his thoughts, okay, kill me, toss me in the land, and then revive me. Yahuwah said, Moses, no, you still causing me to break my vow. He said, okay, well, can I just look and see? Yahuwah said, okay, I'll let you do that. But even, it's about to get Moses into more trouble because now he gonna see it. And now that he has seen the land, he going to start digging in even more. Please let me live. Please, please, please let me live. Look, man, this is about to get even tougher for Moses. Yahuwah going to answer his wish, answer his request, and he just going to go in like none other. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing? Look, pointing to the land, Yahuwah said, this is the land which I swore unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I would give it unto thy seed. To them did I promise it. Thank you, babe. But to thee do I show it. But he saw not only the land. Yahuwah pointed with his finger to every part of the Holy Land and accurately described it to Moses, saying, this is Judah's share. This is Ephraim's, and in this way instructed him about the division of the land. Moses learned from Yahuwah the history of the whole land and the history of every part of it. Yahuwah showed it to him as it would appear in its glory and how it would appear under the rule of strangers, right? Currently, it's still under the rule of strangers, but before Moses passed, Yahuwah saw how she would return to her former glory even better. Right? And when her children are back home, when we are back home, right? I'm so excited. Look, let me go back up. Yahuwah showed it to him as it would appear in its glory and how it would appear under the rule of strangers. Yahuwah revealed to him not only the complete history of Israel that was to take place in the Holy Land, but also revealed to him all its creation to the day of judgment, when the resurrection of the dead will take place, Joshua's war with the Canaanites, Israel's deliverance from the Philistines through Samson, the glory of Israel in David's reign, the building of the temple under Solomon and its destruction, the line of the kings from the house of David, the line of the prophets from the house of Rahab, the destruction of Gog and Magog on the plain of Jericho. All this and much more was given Moses to see. And as Yahuwah showed him all the events of the world, so too did he show him paradise with its dwellers of piety, and hell with the wicked men that fill it. The place whence Moses looked upon the Holy Land was a mountain that bore 4 names, Nebo, Abarim, Hor, and Pisgah. The different appellations are due to the fact that the kingdoms accounted it as a special honor to themselves if they had possessions in the Holy Land. This mountain was divided among 4 kingdoms, and each kingdom had a special name for its parts. The most appropriate name seems to be Nebo, for upon it died 3 sinless Nebaim, or prophets, or Nebi. That's how you say it, it's prophets in Bantu, right? Nabi. Prophets, Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. To this mountain, upon Yahuwah's command, Moses betook himself at noon of the day on which he died. On this occasion, as upon 2 others, Yahuwah had commands executed at noon to show mankind that they could not hinder the execution of Yahuwah's orders, even if they chose to do so. Had Moses gone to die on Mount Nebo at night, Israel would have said, he could well do so in the night when we knew of nothing. Had we known he should go to Nebo to his death, we should not have let him go. Verily, we should not have permitted him to die, who led us out of Egypt, who clove the sea for us, who caused manna to rain down and the well to spring up, who bade the quails to fly over us and performed many other great miracles. Therefore, Yahuwah bade Moses to go to his grave on Mount Nebo in bright daylight at noon hour, saying, let him wishes to prevent it try to do so. For a similar reason, yes, baby. Boy, no, not right now. I'll help you in a minute. Try to put it on yourself. You can put that glove on. Yes, you can. Try it. You ain't even tried. For a similar reason did Israel's exodus from Egypt take place in the noon. I brought this up before. Listen, y'all. Okay. For a similar reason did Israel's exodus from Egypt take place in the noon hour. For had they departed at night, the Egyptians would have said they were able to do this in the darkness of night because they knew nothing of it. Had we known, we should... Hey, chill, y'all. Voices down. Tell her.
Josh want me snitch.
He wants you to snitch on who?
Me and Josh and me first.
Well, she's the one who told Dad for us to come upstairs and clean the room. I was in a
Oh,
match.
and you call her a snitch because you had to get out the computer and go clean the room?
She's the one who told Dad.
Don't call her a snitch. Y'all should have got the room clean anyway. Yes.
And I was in a match trying to get a bunch of money from him.
But y'all knew y'all should have cleaned y'all rooms before y'all came downstairs. Y'all mad because she went and told Dad something that y'all should have done before y'all came down here anyway. So don't call her a snitch. Y'all knew y'all should have did that before y'all came downstairs. I don't care that you were in a match. Hush, y'all. Chill. I'm almost done. Going back in there. Go. I'm going to send everybody back upstairs. I'm going to be the snitch. Oh, guys. Okay, listen. Okay, look. I'm sorry. For a similar reason, did Israel's exodus from Egypt take place in the noon hour? For had they departed at night, the Egyptians would have said they were able to do this in the darkness of the night because we knew nothing of it. Had we known, we should not have permitted them to depart, but should have compelled them by force of arms to stay in Egypt. Yahuwah therefore said, I shall lead out of Israel at the noon hour. Let him who wishes to prevent it try to do so. Noah too entered the ark at the noon hour. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Come on. Hey, babe. They all coming upstairs. Let's go, everybody. This, nope, leave that, Go, everybody go upstairs. Let's go upstairs. Be quiet. You're not doing too much. One more time. Go. Have a seat. Wait till I'm done. Babe, have them stay up there till I'm done. I'll be done in a couple minutes. I'm sorry, guys. They was just getting too loud. It was starting to disrupt me. I don't mind a little bit of noise, but when they starting to get off the chain, I'm sorry. And I know some people just here for the reading. I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive us for being heathens. I'm sorry. Okay. Look. Noah too entered the ark at the noon hour for a similar reason. Yahuwah said, if Noah enters the ark at night, his generation would declare he could do so because we were not aware of it, or we should have permitted him to enter the ark alone, but we should have taken our hammers and axes and crushed the ark. Therefore, Yahuwah said, therefore said Yahuwah, do I wish him to enter the ark at noon? Let him who wishes to prevent it try to do so. Yahuwah said, I don't have to do anything under the cover of the darkness of night. We're gonna do it at high noon, and anybody who wishes to prevent it, let him step forth and do so. Let him step forth and try to do so. The brightness of day before all y'all faces, we're gonna roll up out of here. Do something. Therefore, Yahuwah said, do I wish him to enter the ark at the noon hour? Let him who wishes to prevent it try to do so. Yahuwah's command to Moses to betake himself to Mount Nebo and there to die was couched in the following words. Means not destruction, but elevation. Die in the mount whither thou goest up. Go up all alone, and let no one accompany thee. Aaron's son Eleazar accompanied him to his tomb, but no man shall witness the distinction and reward that await thee at thy death. There shalt thou be gathered unto thy people, to the fathers of Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to thy fathers Kohath and Aram, as well as to thy brother Aaron and thy sister Miriam, just as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor and was gathered unto his people. For when Aaron was to die, Moses drew off one by one his garments, which he invested Aaron's son Eleazar. And after he had taken off all his garments, he clothed him in his death robe. Then he said to Aaron, Aaron, my brother, enter the cave. And he entered. Get upon the couch. Everybody, y'all remember when we read about Aaron's death, right? How this whole process, so he just kind of repeating it. But we had the whole full story probably about a week ago now. If you missed it, you go back. I'll put it, if you want to read it, I'll find it. And I'll put it in the comments section. All right. Get upon thy couch, said Moses, and Aaron did so. Close thine eyes, and he closed them. Stretch out thy feet, and Aaron did so, and expired. At the sight of this painless and peaceful death, Moses said, "Blessed is the man that dies such a death." When therefore Moses' end drew nigh, Yahuwah said, "Thou shalt die the death that thou did wish, as peacefully with as little pain as thy brother Aaron." Okay, where we at? Let me go ahead and read this section right here. Let me go ahead and read this. Moses meets the Messiah in heaven. Let's read it. Moses received still another special distinction on the day of his death. For on that day, Yahuwah permitted him to ascend to the lofty place of heaven and showed him the reward that awaited him in heaven and the future. The divine attribute of mercy there appeared before him and said to him, "I bring glad tidings to thee, at which thou wilt rejoice." Turn to the throne of mercy, and behold, Moses turned to the throne of mercy and saw Yahuwah build the temple of jewels and pearls, while between the separate gems and pearls shimmered the radiance of the Shekinah, brighter than all the jewels. And in this temple he beheld the Messiah, David's son, and his own brother Aaron, standing erect and dressed in the robe of the high priest. Aaron then said to Moses, "Do not draw near, for this is the place where the Shekinah dwells, and know that no one may enter here before they have tasted death, and his soul have been delivered to the angel of death." Moses now fell upon his face before Yahuwah, saying, "Permit me to speak to thy Messiah before I die." Yahuwah said to Moses, "Come, I shall teach thee my great name, that the flames of the Shekinah consume thee not." When the Messiah, David's son, and Aaron beheld Moses approach them, they knew that Yahuwah had taught him the great name, so they went to meet him and saluted him with the greeting, "Blessed be he that cometh in the name of the Lord." Moses thereupon said to Messiah, "Yahuwah told me that Israel was to erect a temple to him upon the earth, and now I see him build his own temple, and that too in heaven." The Messiah replied, "Thy father Jacob saw the temple that will be erected on earth, and also the temple that Yahuwah rears with his own hand in heaven. And he clearly understood that it was the temple Yahuwah constructed with his own hand in heaven as house of jewels, of pearls, and of the light of the Shekinah, that was to be preserved for Israel to all eternity, to the end of all generations. This was the night when Jacob slept upon a stone, and in his dream beheld one Jerusalem upon earth and another in heaven. Yahuwah then said to Jacob, "My son Jacob, today I stand above thee, as in the future thy children will stand before me." At the sight of these two Jerusalems, the earthly and the heavenly, Jacob said, "The Jerusalem on earth is nothing. This is not the house that will be preserved for my children in all generations, but in truth that other house of God that he builds with his own hands. But if thou sayest," continued the Messiah, "that Yahuwah with his own hands build himself a temple in heaven, know then that his hands will also build the temple upon earth." When Moses heard these words from the mouth of the Messiah, he greatly rejoiced, and lifting up his face to Yahuwah, he said, "O Lord of the world, when will this temple built here in heaven come down to earth below?" Yahuwah replied, "I have made known the time of the event to no creature earlier. Hush. Either to the earlier ones or to the later. How then should I tell thee?" Moses said, "Give me a sign so that out of the happenings in the world I may gather when that time will approach." Yahuwah, "I shall first scatter Israel as with a shovel all over the earth, so that they may be scattered among all the nations into the four corners of the earth. And then I shall set my hand again the second time and gather them that migrated with Jonah, the son of Amittai, to the land of Pathros, and those who dwell in the land of Shinar, Hamath, Elam, and the islands of the seas." When Moses had heard this, he departed from heaven with a joyous spirit. The angel of death followed him to the earth, but could not possess himself of Moses' soul, for he refused to give it up to him, delivering it to none but to Yahuwah himself. Okay, and so we'll stop right here. We'll stop right here, because if I keep reading, I'm going to keep reading, and we'll just pick this up tomorrow. Okay, so remember, when we read this, we're coming out of the Christianity doctrine about who they say the Messiah is, right? So the Messiah who will rise in this generation will be born into our generation, and he will raise up, right? So at the end of all of everything that happens while he's still in heaven, remember, because before we come into the earth, we reside there, right? And we have knowledge of everything before we come here. I'm just trying to sum it up real quick because we kind of hit over this stuff over the weeks, right? So he's there. He can see everything and watching the generations pass and all that is going to happen. So when he rises up in the generation where he will do his thing, let me word this right. When it's time for him to do his thing, he will be born on earth. Do I think he's already alive? I really think so. I really think so. According to what we read today, it's only one Messiah, not multiple, like people are saying. Yeah. So, well, this particular Messiah, right? The one at the end as Yahuwah gathers his people back. But I guess I can see what you're saying. I can see how some people say it, the multiple Messiahs over the decades, which there was. If you want to, I think Messiah is probably a terrible term to use. And, you know, it's different deliverers for different generations, like Moses and the different ones, Esther and Nehemiah, all the different ones through the generations. But the Messiah, not JC, I don't care what you call him, JC of Nazareth, it's not him, not that, right? He hasn't come here yet. Well, I'm not say that because he could be alive now, but he will be born in a generation where he will rise upright. And I just want to make sure I'm using the right words, right? But he will be born into the earth in that generation, right? And when he rises, there are things that will happen during that generation. Like he ain't gonna leave and then come back, and that is not what Yahuwah said. Matter of fact, Yahuwah specifically talked about a man who would be born of a woman and would claim himself to be God and will lead the entire world astray. We all know who that is, right? That's JC. Who the entire world worships JC, the church, Catholic, all that. That's what that was talking. That's the person they were talking about. And we know Christianity is the deep deception, or the deep deception. It's another word. The great deception. That's another one. But anyway, it's the great sleeping deception that a lot of Yahuwah's people is in. You got to look at it. They're taking that deception all over the world. And you hear it being taught in the church. Oh, the end will come when the gospel has been preached to the four corners of the earth. They're trying to take this false gospel or whatever, or this lie, and perpetrate it all across the world to cause all people to be in deep deception, right? Because before our homeland, my sister brought up something the other day, I'm gonna mention it. Before we were scattered, we worshiped one God, right? One God. Or like if you read some of these older letters, it was what's his name? When they did the Berlin conference and stuff, what was his name? It was a guy. But anyway, through all this, when they was trying to go, when they was taking the people, they were extracting them from the land. They wrote a letter. It was a letter. I shared the letter before. I can't remember his name. Leopold, King Leopold of Belgium, right? He said, listen, these people know who they worship. They worship one in Zombie, right? And Zombie means God. Like, we knew who we worship, right? So the people, they had to go over there and pretty much, like those, although Israel was committing their shenanigans and stuff, and they was they was breaking Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands. They knew who the most holy was. They worshiped one in Zombie, and they was worshiping other multiple ones too for whatever reason. But they knew who Yahuwah was, and they knew that, right? So now you have Yahuwah fulfilling his command by driving them out the land, bringing in a country of people, an army of people, with a language they did not know, and began to scatter them, right? And so they use, here's what they put in front of them. They say you can either convert to Christianity or you die. And I said all that to say, my sister mentioned something a couple days ago. She at work, I know she in and out. But she said, has anybody ever paid attention to the fact that they say you either convert or you die? That they said how many of our people were slaughtered and chose death rather than converting to Christianity, because they knew that even that would be the death of them, and the power of the Most Holy would leave from us. I said, girl, you better say that, right? So a lot of our people were slaughtered. They thought we're not doing that. And what they do, they started taking the children from our ancestors, right? And it was the children that they took, and they sent them out to England and to different places, and they put them under the Roman Catholics. The Roman Catholics, their whole lie of Christianity, and they converted them, right? They began to put this filth inside of them, and at the more filth of Christianity that they got inside of them, the deeper and deeper asleep they began to fall. So now we have this mess we're in today, where our people are worshiping multiple gods, and they forget the one in Zombie that we worship, Yahuwah alone. And so now we're waking up like Yahuwah said we would in the land of our captivity, telling our people, hey, I'm about to smack you on your forehead. You better wake up. We are not supposed to be worshiping JC. We're supposed to be worshiping Yahuwah alone. They look at us like we are crazy, right? They look at us like we're the ones that speaking heresy, and now they've already been trained to pretty much attack those of us who would wake up and say they're preaching another gospel. If anybody else or not, they should come and say this. You do not listen to this. Wait a minute, baby. Hold on. You do not listen to them. Why? Because we trying to bump y'all on top of y'all head. Hey, listen. I'm like, and I felt like I've done so much screaming and stuff, and people are not listening. It's like, oh my gosh, y'all have to wake up. Like, we're at that time where Yahuwah is beginning to judge the nations. Hey, for what they have done to his people, which he said he was going to do. And a lot of our people are going to be carried away with that destruction if we don't wake up and return to Yahuwah, right? If we don't put away the worship of the multiple gods, because when you're in Christianity, you're worshiping multiple gods, whether you believe it or not. You're not to worship it. We talked about this before. It's like, okay, you say your prayer to God, but then you do your prayer in JC name, and then you talk to the Holy Spirit. Like, what? That's always been confusing to me, and I always knew that something was wrong about that. And as I began to grow over the years, and Yahuwah began just little by little wake me up and bring my attention to different things. And then the one word that he really got my attention with a few years ago was the word echad, right? And it means one. And I began to study that word out, and he began to show me all through the scripture. He said, I am one. He said, you talk to me alone. He said, you pray to me alone. You pray in my name alone. I am one God. Shema. Hear, O Israel, and obey. Listen, Yahuwah, our God, he is one God. That's what the Shema is. Pay attention, people. Yahuwah, our God, the God of Israel, the mighty one of Israel, he is one God, right? And that is the only one we listen to, the only one we pray. We've even, there were things that happened even with the like the Amber Alerts and stuff that came on, the babies getting kidnapped and stuff, where you saw that put into practice. Who could plan an Amber Alert, right? Who could plan an Amber Alert, a child being kidnapped, and we stopped right then and there, and we prayed and asked the Most Holy to arrest this person who had kidnapped this child. It came through while we was live up here, and what we do, we did our prayer in the Most Holy's name, in Yahuwah alone. We got an update. The update went out about an hour later that person was found. The baby was found in good health and safe and returned to their mom, and that happened over that next week like 3 times. I'm like, what is going on with these babies being kidnapped, right? And all of it happened when they were kidnapped. They were left in a car. Like, first of all, parents, get it together. Don't leave your children in the cars, because a vagabond and opportunity, when they meet up, it's a terrible thing. And don't let you and your family be caught in that opportunity for the vagabond, right? But praise be the Most Holy to Yah that those children were found safe, unharmed, untouched, and returned to their parents, right? Because as we return to the Most Holy, as we return to Yah, and we only do our prayers and our requests in His name alone, all of heaven begins to line up and come to our aid, just like they did with Moses, y'all. There is so much power that we yield if we understand who we are and whose we are, and the power He has given us and the authority to walk here, right? So you got to come out of the great deception of Christianity and calling on the names of powerless gods, right? People be ready to crucify me for that, but whatever, go ahead. You ain't gonna touch me. Come do it at noon hour, and whoever want to try it, come. I'll be waiting for you at high noon, and we're gonna have a showdown like Elijah did with the prophets of Baal. Step forward, it's noon time. Go ahead, we're gonna see whose God truly is God. Don't play with me. I ain't playing with y'all regents today. Look, but yeah, so let's go ahead. I'm just like, whew, I be getting fired up, hands sweating and stuff. I feel like a whole, I be feeling like a Marvel superhero. That's like, don't play with, like a whole blaze of fire set off around me. And it's like, y'all don't want to play with me, so, but I can't really have these kind of conversations with a lot of people, especially those that's just walking outside of the church doors getting the sleep out of their eyes. They don't quite understand, because they got to deal with all this false teaching and all these things that they have been taught. Things like, stay away from that. That's witchcraft. Don't do it. I said, wait a minute. No, Yahuwah is the one that's behind this. First of all, we talk to Him. All we got to do is like, Father, drop that fire on them. And Yahuwah, those who walk and keep His commands, He said, listen here, you keep my commands, I'm going to keep you. And I'm going to keep you and your family too. But all those who reject knowledge, who reject my truth, I am going to reject you, and I'm going to reject your children too. We ain't got time for that. Y'all hear how many kids I got in my background, right? We ain't got time for that. We got children and children's children in my household. And we ain't got time for the foolishness no more, right? I'm seeing too many supernatural things happen, and I know Yahuwah alone is the source of my help. Even when I was calling and worshiping JC, even when I was doing that, my help still came from Yahuwah alone. Because first of all, I was ignorant, and I didn't understand that the gifts and all those things that were given to me were given by Him and Him alone. Because what He said, there is no other God beside me. He said, and if there is, I know not one. There was no one before me, and there will be none after me. He said, I kill and I make alive. He said, step forward. I'm here every day, all day at noonday, and whosoever will try it, let's see what you want to do, right? And so I'm just like, I'm rolling with you, boss. Every day, all day, noontime and midnight, twilight hour, you can find me standing right here behind Him. What? And I'm gonna be back there. I'm gonna be back there hyping Him up, right? What? Do something, because I know, first of all, I'm in alignment with you, and I'm gonna talk my talk because I know He got my back. I ain't gonna push it to the limit, but I know what I can do, and I know what I can't do, right? So I gotta be careful sometimes, because I like to go poke the bear just a little bit, because I know the bear is powerless against my mighty one, right? So, but a lot of that stuff, like I said, can't really say a lot of that stuff just yet. I'm using wisdom with some of the things I say, because everybody's not ready for that, and they don't really understand what's really going on, right? And a lot of people just like, and Christianity has told you, like, nope, don't do that. It's of the devil. I'm like, yep, nope. I've stepped outside their door, and we all getting free. Everybody, let's go. Follow my lead. Hey. I'm doing like this. Look, I'm going to go check. Look, here's what we're going to do. Like, that's how it was. First coming out of Christianity, it's like, what? No. That's the devil out there. You know, so all those things. You know how, y'all ever watch movies? And it's like they scare you so bad. And they say, I got 2 armed guards right outside of here. And I got snipers here. But they know, they can tell you that if you're in a place where you have so much fear, they can tell you anything and no, you will not move. It's like that elephant being chained by this little chain, not realizing, dude, you was an elephant. You don't even have to use strength for real to just walk away. Matter of fact, to walk away, look, they done put a ball and chain on this elephant or maybe attach it in the ground. But it wouldn't even take any kind of strength for the elephant just to move at a normal stride and bust that chain all up, right? So it's like the world has put a ball and chain on the sons and daughters of the most holy and only God of the universe. And it's like we ain't moving for fear that if we shake this chain or they hear our chain shake, they gonna come and kill us, not knowing and understanding that we hold and we wield all the strength and power. And they have to keep us asleep, because if Israel wakes up and realize who we are and whose we are, all of the world will run in terror. And all of the world is beginning to catch a clue, and they're running in terror. Just like that one white pastor trying to tell us, you better shut your white mouth. He said, those are God's people. Look, I was on the treadmill when I first heard that. The pastor said, those are God's people. The black people, the African American, those are God's people. And, you know, he just kind of went through. I'm sure everybody up here done probably seen it already. If not, I'll post it in here in the section today. But he's like, listen. So, and I believe a lot of times it's not necessarily that they trying to tell the people, oh, you better repent. I think they telling their people like, oh, y'all better catch a clue, because I'm about to haul tail out of here because of what we done did to you, who was people, right? And I'm just like, yeah, because some of these pastors, they trying to tell their people for, I guess it's part of they're kind of using it like as a part of their repentance, like, oh, well, I tried to tell the people the truth, but yeah, but all this time up until here, what was you doing, right? You was also profiting off of you who is people. You was living peaceful. It said the world is quiet, right? Just like it says, and was it Zephaniah? Oh, Yahuwah, look, he sent out the angels. He said, look, he sent out the message. He said, go check and see what's going on. He said, the whole world is quiet. And what that meant, he said, the whole world is sitting fat and pretty off the labors of your people, and they're quiet, and they think all is good, all is well, peace and safety. Yahuwah said, really? Okay, I'm coming for all of them. And all this peace and safety that they say, oh, it's peaceful and it's safe out here going to do. He said, I'm about to tear everything, right? Yeah, so when Jacob completely wakes up, and Jacob is waking up. If y'all pay attention to what's going on all across the world, I like how some people say the revolution will not be televised. Baby, we live, right? Everything, we're taking everything, because what happens, not only will we have our own inheritance back, but we will also have the inheritance of the entire world. Like, we're going to take everything, right? Because we've been scattered to the 4 corners of the earth, and all the nations have profited off of the labor of Jacob, off of the descendants of Jacob, off the descendants of Israel, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the descendants of Jacob, the Negro folk, right? Now, all Negroes are descendants of Jacob, but the descendants of Jacob are Negro folk, right? You can find us. Just do a little bit of checking into how they scattered us during the Spanish Inquisition, the transatlantic slave trade. You got to put all them together. If you're just looking at the transatlantic slave trade, you won't have all the pieces, because you got to go up a little bit further into the Spanish Inquisition. You got to see where they were at. They were in Spain and Portugal. My husband, we did the blood test, right? And what threw us off, because I couldn't understand. I was like, wait a minute, did they get my husband's DNA test mixed up with somebody else, right? Because my blood comes from Western Africa, right? And it connects 3 countries together. They say right here it's Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea-Bissau, right? But you have to realize before the Berlin Conference, before they start chopping up the borders and everything, there were no borders like that, right? And so it was like all of my family where I descend, it comes from right there in that area. But my husband, if you realize, when they started being scattered, the Jews, well, not saying Jews, but anyway, King David's army, his people, up towards the area of Spain and Portugal. Like how they divided it up, guys, it's crazy how they divided it up. But anyway, they began to drive them out of that portion of the land, and they came down into Africa, right? So I didn't know that when we had gotten my husband's DNA test back, right? And his blood, he's a descendant. It says Spain and Portugal. I said, what? And I called him and said, wait a minute, hold on. We sent in 2 samples and stuff. It's like, same thing, Spain and Portugal. But it wasn't till like 2 weeks later after that, I'm like, Father, what the crap? I'm like, and so I was like, look, we need to ask your mom and daddy about this. You know, he was like, well, let's just kind of leave that alone, because he really kind of unsure, and he didn't want to kind of create no waves based on some things that he knows about his fans. Like, okay, well, we don't want to do that. We don't want to cause family feuds and stuff. I said, but Father, something ain't quite lining up here. And it was probably like 2 weeks later after, we had got there. I was like, okay. So they say this must be true. It's don't lie. It's twice. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Father, what is this? I'm completely lost. And then what happened was, things started popping up in my timeline about Spain and Portugal, right? And because I was looking for Spain and Portugal, and black folks, Spain and Portugal, what? So as I looked up, it started recommending things. And I believe it was Benaiah Israel who actually did a segment on Spain and Portugal that he posted about 2 weeks later. I said, what? And what he began to say began to make sense. I'm like, oh, shoot. So that's how I realized, okay, boom. I was like, okay, I have truly married into the tribe. Like, didn't even know it, because as his family was scattered. But anyway, my husband truly is a descendant of one of the tribes of Israel and Judah at that, and my family, from what I understand, we're from Levi or Lewi or whatever. I know that's kind of like whatever, but I don't really understand all that right now, but different things. Okay, so let me do this, and I'm gonna kind of go back to for those that need to go. I haven't forgot about you, Aliyah. Let's do the blessing real quick, and then let's kind of just chit chat just a little bit about your question, right? Because, all right, I know I said a lot, and I was going into different places, but it'd be so much I'd be wanting to share, but I have to use wisdom on some things that I share, because everybody not quite ready, and I don't want to push anybody away, and everybody be like, what? No, that's heresy. No, it's really not. It's really not heresy. Okay. Numbers chapter 6 verses 22 through 27 is where the blessing is found. Remember, the first 21 verses is a Nazirite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, may Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay. Okay. I'm from Crenshaw, Mafia DNA. Remember, I ain't African. That's funny. Okay, look. Okay, so let's go back up here. Aliyah's question. Okay. Sister, when you're done reading the lessons, help me understand this, because it's been bothering me a lot. Like the world says, Sematiah, the wicked Malaki, seduces the righteous ones in heaven, then there. Or Satan and the fallen angels, or whatever, seduced the righteous ones. Was in war in the heavens among the angels, and they were cast down to the earth. Yet the Most High says the innocent shouldn't be punished for the wicked, So why allow Hasatan or Satan to continue to seduce us, and why not? Bring judgment to the Malakis of the Shemayim or the angels of the heavens for seducing mankind, because I feel like the Most High only flex on mankind, nothing about the wicked Malakis. Okay, so let's say this. Yahuwah doesn't just flex on us, right? Matter of fact, there is great mercy given to us. And if you... Okay, so when I pause and think, because different people are watching this that are kind of still in a church, and okay, so they understand about some supernatural things that happen, and some of them quite don't understand, right? So for you that are here that don't quite understand, you just have to grow a little bit more, and you have to learn some of these things, right? So the more you grow, hopefully the more you'll learn and you'll grow in wisdom, understanding, like I said before, that the spiritual realm is more real than this natural realm here, right? And if you spend time, I won't say just studying, but also in prayer and fasting, because prayer, not just prayer, but adding fasting on top of your prayers, it will kind of open your eyes a whole lot faster to some of the things that's happening around us, right? In this world and in the unseen world, right? A lot of those of us with gifts of actually being able to see into that realm can see a whole lot more, and we can kind of communicate to those who can't see, but need the understanding. Let me see. It's so much that I understand. I don't want to scare people. Okay, so let's answer this. You say it seemed like Yahuwah be flexing on us and not them. For those of us who understand, first of all, Yahuwah will...
Stop taking off garments!
Okay, you got it. Yahuwah will flex on us, especially as our eyes are being opened and we know that we're to be keeping Yahuwah's commands and we don't. We tend to see judgment begins to happen with us a lot faster, where we had that mercy, a little more mercy when we were asleep. We would still be punished, because he said those who didn't know will still be punished like they did. But there seems to be a longer time span for those who are completely ignorant and those who are not as ignorant. Because if you know something and then you still go against doing what's, if you don't do what's right when you know to do what's right, your judgment will tend to come a little bit faster for those who know that we belong to him, right? For those of us that know we belong to him, and we can understand even just a little bit of the unseen realm, and how when we don't keep to Yahuwah's commands, we literally open ourselves up to the other realm to be seduced by them, right? Or to the fallen angels, the Malakis, or demons, whatever you want to call them. They all the same thing. It is those fallen angels and the offspring of the Nephilim who reside here on earth. If you read Enoch chapter 15, it explains those, right? They're the offspring of the demon spirits, the ones who, it says, torture and disrupt and aggravate and agitate mankind here in the flesh, is the offspring of the Malakis or the Malachim or the fallen angels and the human women. They give birth to flesh and blood, but when they die, their spirit remains here on the earth. That's what the book of Enoch teaches us. And we also read a little bit about that in the Legends of the Jews. It goes into a little more detail. But that is who is disrupting mankind. And when you don't keep to Yahuwah's laws, his statutes, and his commands, you pretty much become free game to these roving spirits who are here to upset mankind, right? It's like you, by default, you open yourself up to them. That's how you get demonic attacks and stuff on yourself and your family. You start seeing your money being messed with and stuff. Why? Because you're out of line. Yahuwah told us, he said, listen, you do this and I'm going to keep you, right? Righteousness literally is a shield for us. if you're doing what's right, not saying that you're perfect and you do everything right, because all of us make mistakes, but you don't make a habit of living in sin, right? Or doing what's wrong, or hurting others. And when you're living a pious life, somebody who strives to do what's right, and you're keeping Yahuwah's laws, not being like over religious and that crap like that. You're just being a good, decent human being, keeping Yahuwah's laws as much as possible, right? It's a shield all around you, and those things, the demon spirits or the malachim can't touch you, right? And they can't touch your stuff, anything that concerns you. So he don't just be flexing on us. He'll flex on us when we're ignorantly or purposely doing what's wrong, but he'll also flex on them too. And if we're walking and doing what's right, and we seeing havoc happen in other people's life, and me, I know, because I understand now. Like, I have different ones in my family. Like, look, you probably need to stop doing that, because this gonna happen. This is not gonna, because it's just, to me now, it's common knowledge that this is going to happen if you go against this, right? It's not going to turn out right. Just like children who are disobedient to their parents, even if you're growing out the house, right? If you dishonor your father and your mother, your life gets turned upside down and into shambles. That's a spiritual law and principle that is set from the beginning of time. It's going to happen to you, right? If things go from bad to worse, and it seems like you can never catch a break, what was good now turns into a curse for you. Why? It's because you're breaking a command of Yah, especially if you belong to him and don't even realize that you belong to him, right? And I know those in my family, clearly we belong to him. I know where we descend, so I know why this is happening to you. But a lot of times they don't want to listen. They're going to keep doing it their way, and they're going to keep hitting their head up against the wall. I'm trying to tell you, without being super spiritual and explaining it to them. But sometimes they just don't want to listen. Okay, go ahead, right? But still, my prayers for them is a shield a little bit to kind of lessen them from some of the things that would happen to them, because they're not listening to Yahuwah, right? Okay, so he said, the Most High says the innocent shouldn't be punished for the wicked. So why he allows it? Okay, I think I explained that a little bit. Yeah, the innocent, let me see. I think I can use an example. Let's say, let me see if I can use something that seems like totally, okay. So say somebody has, and I hope this is a good example of how I'm trying to explain it, how I see it in my head. Okay, say there's a couple and they lose a child, right? And it's like, Father, why? This child is innocent, right? How, or even some of our innocent children being killed in the streets, right? Okay. Let me just make sure I say this right. Okay, so our children are directly under our care, and they're protected as children by, I'll say, the righteousness or the covering of their parents, right? Because I could tell you a couple personal things where I knew, somebody did something in our household, otherwise this would not have happened, right? I want to make sure I'm explaining this the right way, because it says that the children will, you got to understand what it says, right? It says the children should not be punished for the father's sins, right? But it also says that the children, if they don't turn away from the sins that their fathers have committed, they will be punished for their father's sins, meaning that you continue to do the same thing that your fathers did. Therefore, you are punished for your father's sins, because you've made your father's sins your own sins, right? But as them being younger, it's almost like they're under our covering, and they're innocent. And a lot of times I think Yahuwah protects them, but sometimes our ignorance will cause our innocent children to be slaughtered and be killed in the streets, right? Here's an example. Okay, it's a Sabbath day. Yahuwah tells us, he says, you are to stay in your place on the Sabbath day. Not saying that this is going to happen, or I've seen this example, but this I think this is a good example, right? Our children are innocent. You decide, I want to go out anyway. We're going to go out. I'm going to take my family, right? Now, your children are not old enough to drive. It's you who's driving. It's you who knows and understands the law, and it's you who should be teaching your children, your household, right? That's what Yahuwah tells us, right? That's why children have parents. Parents are to teach, and the cycle goes on. You teach them the ways of Yahuwah. That way they grow up, and they begin to do the same thing, and the cycle repeats itself, right? So if you break the law, you by default, your children by default also break the law. Even though they may not know it now, my children are like, well, we ain't supposed to be. Oh, you right. Father, forgive me. You absolutely right. Let me repent. Because if you go out, you on the Sabbath, you go from your house and you say you want to travel out of town, what happens? You get into a terrible car accident. You and your innocent children. You who knows the law of Yahuwah that says you should have stayed in your place on this day. You decided to purposely, knowingly break the law and pull your innocent children along with you. So now all of you are breaking Yahuwah's law. You on purpose, your children unknowingly and ignorantly, especially if they're younger, you get into a horrible car accident and you all die. Or maybe you live and all your children die. You will immediately know that what you did, you were the cause. Even though it could have been a drunk driver or something that have crashed into you, had you have been keeping Yahuwah's laws, your keeping of his laws would have shielded you from this, and your children would still be alive, and you would be alive. Now your children have died for your disobedience, right? I hope that was a good example, but a lot of times it depends. Say Yahuwah looks and see, because we saw it with Sodom and Gomorrah, he said that's why all of Sodom and Gomorrah, and I think I understand it just a little bit, all of Sodom and Gomorrah was completely destroyed in the surrounding towns, because Yahuwah said, I've looked all the way up until the day of resurrection, and there is nothing good that will come from any of the seeds in Sodom and Gomorrah or their surrounding towns, so we can kill all of them right now, right? He said, so we're going to destroy them all, because there's nobody who's going to be righteous in any coming generation up until the day of resurrection. That's what we learn in other manuscripts. That's why they were completely annihilated, right? So say you same person breaking this law on the Sabbath and going out of town with your innocent children, Yahuwah, I think don't quote me, but I think he does the same overlooking before he brings judgment on your household for breaking this. And some people may get away with it for years on purpose, break it, and nothing happens to you. Don't think you've escaped judgment, because you haven't. Yahuwah is giving you time to get it right so that you and your household may live. But say now the same person leaves out, and it's not your children who died, but it's you who die, right? Because maybe Yahuwah has looked down into the future of your children, and had they had the opportunity themselves to make this decision, they would not have made the same choice you made, and they would have stayed in their place, and they would not have broken this. And I think in this situation is where Yahuwah will allow the children to live and you to die, right? Because he looks ahead, he looks into the future, and he sees the intentions of the heart and what would be down the line. Just like when he told them, he said, you go in here, don't destroy the descendants of Lot yet. Why? He said, don't go in. He said, don't, the Moabites and the Ammonites, he said, don't destroy them. Why? When they was rooting out people out of the land, the promised land, why did he do that? Because I saw him doing the same thing, and he even mentioned it. He said, don't do that. Why? He said, because he looked all the way down. Although they were defiled, and that generation, that family line, those two family lines sprung up from unchastity for having Lot's two daughters having sex with him. Two nations were birthed from that unchastity, right? And they should rightfully, because of that deed, they should have been destroyed. But when they went in to take over the promised land, Yahuwah said, leave them alone for now. Why? Because he looked down the line all the way up until the day of resurrection, and he saw two women who would spring from these two lines who sprung up from unchastity, Ruth and Naomi. He said, leave them alone. He said, I have great treasures hidden down in the generations, and I need them to stay alive right now. So when I look at a lot of these things, now that I'm understanding more about underlying principles and things that are hidden, to the natural eye, to those is hidden to those who are unspiritual, who are not spiritual. You may be churchy, but you may not be spiritual, right? It's hidden to a lot of people whose eyes are closed and can't see like underlying principles of things that's happening, and so they can't see. And so something would seem to be unfair and unjust in a way, when all actuality it's the most just thing that could have happened. Think about when Yahuwah took the lives. Hey guys, chill out. Think about when Yahuwah took the lives of Aaron's two sons, right? Because they offer incense, right? And it says his two sons were pious men. It said indeed they were two pious men, right? He said they were truly righteous men. They were blessing Yahuwah, and they wanted to offer him incense, but they didn't do it in the fashion Yahuwah said. And so they went in, and Aaron's two sons, this was right after they received the Torah. They had been ordained as the priests, and Aaron the high priest, those who would take care of the temple, ark, tabernacle, all that stuff. They went in and they were offering praise to Yahuwah. And as they went in and they offered incense, Yahuwah killed them instantly, right? Now, of course, it made everybody shake down and they shot nah. Hey, chill, y'all. Because it's like, okay, so were they inwardly doing something wrong? Because we know these men to be pious. Yahuwah has vouched for these men that they're pious, yet he killed them. And Aaron felt some kind of way about it until Yahuwah explained it to him a little bit down the road. He said, now, according to the law, what your sons did, rightfully, according to the law, they should have been immediately stricken with leprosy. Leprosy is not that you just, boom, your skin turn white. No, your skin begins to break down and boils and festers and all those things. He said, rightfully, according to my law, both of them should have been stricken with leprosy and excommunicated from the camp. They should have been put outside of the camp, and they would have been unclean until the day they died. He said, but I took them immediately. He said, and their bodies would have decomposed, it would have rotted, they would have stunk, right? If somebody has leprosy, like if you're leprous to the day you die, it's disgusting, right? He said, now, I showed great mercy in killing them on the spot, right? I'm just kind of summing up his words. He said, I took great mercy in killing your two sons on the spot because they offered strange fire at a holy place. He said, when what happened, we understand that the fire came out from the ark, and it singed both of his sons right through their nose. The holy fire got both of them right through both of their nostrils, and